Hello, beautifuls. My name is Quavia. I'm the creator of JuJu Thyme. I'm an oracle for the Divine Dark Cosmic Mother, an Afro mystic, and a practitioner of Hoodoo Conjure. Welcome to the Sacred Serpent. In the Sacred Serpent, we explore the principles and concepts of Afro mystic teachings so we can expand our understandings of them and practically apply them to our lives, our magic, but most importantly, our character. Let's get started with the 6th episode within the Sacred Serpent. Today we're exploring the concept of Orisha Oshun. For some beginning their journey of learning about the Orisha, you pretty quickly learn about Orisha Oshun. Oshun in pop culture started showing up everywhere, it feels like, from Beyonce's music and her videos to an episode in She's Gotta Have It to even the TV series American Gods. For many, there was an instant connection, and before we knew it, Oshun, for many, was the gateway. Oshun's children became many and plenty. Oshun's energy and force revitalized and reconnected many African and African descendant people back to their roots and back to each other. This instant connection and awe towards Oshun seemed to hit everyone but me, it seemed like. Orisha Oshun's energy and force felt lost on me. I mean, I appreciated the beauty. I respected her divineness. Absolutely. I just couldn't understand it. She was a force at that time that I didn't know about, so I was learning right along with everyone else in regards to who she was. We all realized quickly that Orisha Oshun was the Orisha of fertility and abundance. We learned of her beauty, her love, and her sensuality and sexuality. We learned of her love of yellows and golds. We learned how we can find her in the sweet waters, bare-breasted as she looks upon herself in her mirror. We saw how she bathes herself in honey as the peacock sits at her side. We learned of her light. At the time, I felt that, though very, very important, there was a lack of depth and divine darkness that I craved, and I naturally felt at home in, and I still feel at home in. The conversations around Oshun, though vital in its own way, seemed shallow and superficial to me. I wanted to understand more. So I went to the river nearest to me, called on my Yeshu Elegba and my ancestors to open the door. I spoke to the water spirits, introduced myself, left my offerings, and asked if they could pass along a message to Oshun, or if Oshun herself could help me understand her, to feel connected as everyone else felt connected to her. This was a few years ago, but it wasn't until this year that it seems like something finally clicked. And all of the little bits of information that I received over the years, coupled with my own life's journey, came together to help me see a little bit of the depth of Oshun. And this is what I learned. I think the first stream of understanding came to me when I first heard of the story of how she and hundreds of other Orishas were sent down to start forming the earth before the other Orishas can be sent down. Some say that of the hundreds of Orishas that were first sent down, Oshun was the only feminine principle among them. The tale goes on to how Oshun was disrespected by the other Orishas and basically seen as unimportant. So she left to the moon where she was appreciated. And the other Orishas learned quickly of how nothing worked without Oshun. Animals wouldn't mate, nothing had life, molecules themselves wouldn't even stay bonded together. The other Orishas had to find her and apologize to her, and eventually she forgave them. And as soon as she returned back to Earth, it was like life came back too. It was at this moment I now realize that I began to see Oshun everywhere. When I would be by a river or a lake and I felt so sad or deep in thought, I would look out onto that dark water, and it seemed like the waters were dancing for me and moving towards me in perfect, almost unreal unison. In this beauty, as the light of the golden sun played on the surface, I would see Oshun. When I was learning about astronomy and studying black holes, the scientists would be going over the math. And even though the math was completely beyond me, in the symbols they were using between all the numbers, I saw Oshun. In the scent that would attract bees and bumblebees to my herb garden, I saw Oshun. Oshun's principle helped birth humanity. As written in the book, Our Mothers, Our Powers, Our Texts, it says, as a female deity, she, Oshun, possesses the power to withhold the life force which activates humanity through the male principle. That singular power emphasizes that without the female principle, the male principle is rendered impotent. Oshun's principle makes her a guardian of the biological spheres of life. Oshun's name means source. Oshun is the inspiration for existence. Without her, there is no life. Without her, there is darkness. In her mirror, she carries the darkness, and as she looks into it, you are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, who is Oshun. She is the principle that motivates, soothes, and expresses longing, pride, pleasure, and pain. By her side, you do see her winged aspects in the peacock of new beginnings and expression, but you'll also find close by her other winged aspects in the vulture of rebirth and the quail of hope. Her winged aspect as the vulture I find very interesting. Vultures are feared and a bit taboo because they are the huge black-winged birds whose natural job is to dine on the dead and the decaying. Spiritually, it is said that the vulture is also the one that picks up our prayers, our silent prayers, the prayers in our tears, and our prayers we say in joy, and carries them to Olorun. They say when you see a vulture in the sky, then there is a chance that the dead and decaying are close by. It's like Oshun is gathering and picking at the hopes and dreams and everything that being was and carries them to Olorun. Through the vulture, Oshun is the only Orisha that can arrange a meeting with the sky god. Oshun's principle makes her a guardian of the biological and the spiritual spheres of life. As mentioned, Oshun represents fertility and abundance, but she also represents development. Many of the civilizations that we admire developed by a river. Some scientists even claim that they have traced the homeland of all modern humans to south of the Zambezi River in Africa. These early ancestors and early civilizations were built and thrived from river waters and their spirits. In this, I see Oshun's hand. In this, I see her fertility and abundance. Because Orisha Oshun represents development, Oshun, at her essence, is political, and she, like her mother Yemoya, is the champion and protector of women. Though for Orisha Oshun, politically she represents women in material power, controlling not only law and economies, but the ability to market their own natural resources. From early African civilizations around the world, and even now, they say women control the marketplace. So Oshun's principle allows her to also be a guard of the material aspects of life. Currently, I live in a country that's landlocked, in a city that sits along a river. So the river is my main body of water. And in the beginning, when I was building JuJu Thyme, I found myself needing to be near water a lot, which means I would constantly walk to the river, to a particular spot under a bridge where the river would flow through. I remember jokingly saying at that time, when I would go to this spot, that I was going where Eshu, Elegba, and Oshun would meet. And it's there that I received the spiritual and self-confidence to birth JuJu Thyme and to go on the journey of where she would take me. So in this divine inspiration and development that played a major part in my life, I now see Oshun's hand. Orisha Oshun is the founder of great cities and towns, and she is also its defender. Oshun is a fierce warrior, and that is something I didn't even realize. In war, she is described as tall, extravagant, which seems fitting. She is described as antagonistic and also skilled at the art of hand-to-hand combat. However, this is only when necessary because her preferred weapons are grace, cunning, diplomacy, and dignity. Oshun's battle force is on par with any other warlike Orisha. But Orisha Oshun is able to do something that the other warlike Orishas like Shango, Ogun, and Oya cannot do, which is establish social and spiritual harmony and balance. All of this is to say that Oshun's principle makes her a guardian of the biological, the spiritual, the material, and the social spheres of life. Oshun's principle is so expansive, fortifying, complex, and deep. There is something knowing and unapologetic in her force. It is loud and demanding of attention without having or needing to ask for it. Yet at the same time, there is more than what meets the eye when it comes to her principle, and she knows it. Miss Teish said in the book Jambalaya, "The new moon is Oshun's mirror." This made me realize that Oshun allows you to see what it is that you need. But if you look and take the journey into her dark mirror, on that other side, you will find source, life, rebirth, and inspiration. It makes sense to me that for those being introduced to the Orishas, that many would feel connected to her principle. And her children, whom she blesses abundantly, would be many. During the times we are in, just like in the beginning, there needs to be an influx of life, inspiration, and connection. And this is where Oshun and her children come in. rebirthing us to develop into who we promised Olorun we would be, inspiring us to birth cities and empires that would touch the soul of others, and making harmony and grace the priority, yet also be a defender and a warrior when necessary. Her principle was there in the beginning, and even at the end, the vulture aspect of herself will take wing and carry you to Olorun so you can tell them all that you have learned in this lifetime, this time around. I am a person who grew up near the ocean, finding home with the spirits of the ocean. However, currently I don't have any ocean, so it has taken me a long time to appreciate the river and its spirits. But I trust and extend myself to the spirits of the river and allow them to teach me and affect change in my life, to allow Oshun to teach me and affect change in my life. I asked that day, long ago, to understand more of the depth of Oshun, and I know it was granted. But there is still so much to discover and learn regarding the principle and concepts of Oshun and the depth of her lessons. My arms are open in what I will be allowed to understand when it comes to this principle and any other concepts or principles I share with you. For just like you, I am but standing in front of the ocean and the cosmos in complete admiration of how much I don't know. So I'm excited that I get to be a student of myself and the world so I can continue to explore what else unfolds. As I said, there is so much more to explore, and I am so ready for those doors to open so I can continue to embrace it and be transformed. But until then, thank you, beautifuls, for being here with me. Till the next one, truth and love.